Definition of globalization. Globalization is a complex and transformative process that has profoundly reshaped our world in recent decades. At its core, globalization refers to the increasing interconnectedness and integration of businesses, cultures, and societies on a global scale. This phenomenon is driven by advancements in transportation, communication, and technology, which have significantly reduced barriers to the movement of goods, services, capital, information, culture, and ideas across national borders. 1. Economic integration. One of the primary drivers of globalization is economic integration. This involves the deepening interdependence of economies through international trade in goods and services, foreign direct investment (FDI), and the flow of capital across borders. Globalization has fostered the development of complex global supply chains, where different stages of production occur in various countries. This interconnectedness has led to increased efficiency, specialization, and economic growth, but also vulnerability to global economic shocks and dependencies. 2. Cultural exchange. Globalization has facilitated the exchange and diffusion of cultures across borders. Cultural globalization occurs through various channels, including migration, international travel and tourism, media such as television, film, music, and literature, and the internet. These channels enable individuals and communities to access and adopt cultural practices, beliefs, and values from around the world. While globalization enhances cultural diversity and understanding, it also raises concerns about cultural homogenization, where dominant global cultures overshadow local traditions and identities. 3. Technological connectivity. Advances in technology have been pivotal in accelerating globalization. Communication technologies like the internet, mobile phones, and social media platforms have revolutionized how people connect and share information globally. Transportation technologies such as air travel and maritime shipping have facilitated the rapid movement of goods and people across continents. Logistics innovations, including global supply chains and distribution networks, have enhanced the efficiency of global trade and commerce. These technological advancements have empowered businesses and individuals to operate across borders more seamlessly, fostering innovation, collaboration, and economic growth. 4. Political interdependence. Globalization has profound implications for international relations and global governance. Nations are increasingly interconnected through agreements on trade, environmental protection, human rights, and security. Institutions like the United Nations, World Trade Organization, WTO, International Monetary Fund, IMF, and World Bank play crucial roles in facilitating cooperation and addressing global challenges. However, globalization also poses challenges to national sovereignty and governance, as decisions made in one country can have far-reaching effects globally. 5. Environmental impact. The interconnected nature of the global economy has significant environmental consequences. Globalization has accelerated resource extraction, industrial production, and consumption patterns, contributing to environmental degradation, deforestation, habitat loss, pollution, and climate change. Addressing these global environmental challenges requires coordinated international efforts. Sustainable development practices and policies that balance economic growth with environmental conservation and climate resilience. 6. Social dynamics. Globalization influences social structures, dynamics, and identities within societies worldwide. It affects employment patterns, labor markets, income distribution, and standards of living. Cultural globalization leads to the adoption of new lifestyles, consumer behaviors, and social norms influenced by global trends and cultural exchange. However, globalization also exacerbates social inequalities within and between countries, raising concerns about economic disparity, social justice, and cultural autonomy. Addressing these challenges requires inclusive economic policies, social protections, and efforts to promote equitable access to opportunities in a globalized world. In summary, globalization is a multifaceted and dynamic process that has redefined economies, cultures, politics, environments, and societies across the globe. While globalization has brought economic growth, technological advancement, cultural diversity, and global cooperation, it also presents challenges such as economic inequality, cultural homogenization, environmental degradation, and social tensions. Managing the impacts of globalization requires international cooperation, inclusive policies, sustainable development practices, and efforts to promote equity, diversity, and resilience in a globalized world.
Listen to the same things. Imagine three different continents, the same menus, hobbies, fashion, and music preferences. Only one question remains. What happened for the last 40 years, and is it actually good? The easiest and shortest answer for the first part of this question is globalization. It becomes more complicated, controversial, and of course more interesting to find the answer for the second one. 130 BC, ancient Silk Road, winding through distant lands, connecting cultures and exchanging goods, a bustling highway of ideas and trade that set the stage for a timeless concept we call globalization. Flash forward to today, where globalization isn't just a term, it's a force shaping our daily lives. But where it all began, the Silk Road was like the prototype of this global dance linking China and Europe. That's over 2,000 years of humans realizing that they could achieve more together than apart. Fast forward again, and now we're in the era of modern globalization. It's not just about trading silk, it's about trading everything from ideas to technology. And get this, over the last 30 years, global trade has skyrocketed at a rate twice as fast as the overall world economy. The global export increased from 5 trillion in 1992 to $25 trillion in 2022. We are not just talking about crossing borders, we are talking about a turbocharged engine of interdependence. Guys, to be sure we are on the same page, we need somebody to explain what globalization actually is. What do you think about Dr. Brady? Where's my cup of Brazilian coffee and smartphone I forgot here last week? Alright, ungrateful students. Imagine the world as one giant party where every country brings its own unique dish. Globalization is a feast where these dishes are shared, devoured, and new recipes are created. It's a potluck of ideas, economies, knowledge, and cultures. Speaking about my smartphone, it wasn't just assembled in one country. It's a global mixture. The parts may come from Asia, get assembled in Europe, and then sold in North America. That's globalization, a symphony of collaboration. But it's not just about products, it's about sharing brain power too. When a student in Brazil can learn from a professor in Canada through online courses, that's globalization in education. It's like an intellectual potluck where knowledge is the main course. Where is my smartphone? I bet I'm late again and my students will be waiting for me. Shit. So before I ask you to hit the like button, subscribe and share this video not to miss our next series, write in the comments the effects of globalization on your company, city, region, or even country. Are they more positive or negative? Now, let's talk about hidden cons and reasonable pros of globalization. Increased competition. Imagine your small local business, once thriving, is now facing the behemoths of multinational corporations. One of the downsides of globalization is the intensified competition where local businesses find themselves navigating stormy seas against the tide of giant international players. Small and medium-sized enterprises, which are often the backbone of local economies, can struggle to keep up. In fact, studies show that about 70% of small businesses believe that globalization poses a significant challenge to their survival. It's a harsh reality where the David and Goliath battle might not always end in the favor of the underdog. Exploitation of labor and resources. Globalization, in its pursuit of efficiency, sometimes turns a blind eye to the dark corners of labor and environmental exploitation. Concerns arise as multinational corporations seek cheaper production costs in countries with weak labor and environmental laws. Low wages and environmental degradation become unfortunate byproducts of this pursuit of cost effectiveness. This isn't just a moral dilemma, it's a stark reminder that the global economy isn't always fair and just. Imbalanced trade. While globalization boasts interconnectedness, it's not always an equal exchange. Trade deficits, where a country imports more than it exports, create a reliance on foreign capital. Think of it as a financial tightrope where countries teeter on the edge of economic instability. Take the Asian financial crisis in the late 90s as an example. Countries like Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia faced severe consequences when foreign investors pulled out, leaving them in a precarious financial situation. Imbalanced trade isn't just a statistic, it's a potential catalyst for economic turbulence. Domestic job loss. A sobering reality of globalization is the impact on employment. When companies outsource jobs to countries with lower labor costs, it often results in domestic job loss. The very fabric of local economies gets reshaped and workers face uncertainty. Between 2001 and 2018, the US trade deficit with China alone led to the loss of 3.7 million jobs. With a significant portion of those losses in manufacturing sector, it's not just about numbers, it's a livelihoods disrupted and communities facing the harsh winds of economic change. I agree. This guy in black can be persuasive, but let's talk about the pros of globalization. Access to new markets. Imagine you have a product or a service that the world needs, but your reach is limited. Globalization bursts open the doors to new markets, creating a playground for expansion and increased revenue. This isn't just a hypothetical scenario. Companies that embrace global trade often find themselves not just surviving but thriving as they tap into diverse consumer bases worldwide. Did you know that international trade can contribute up to 45% of the global GDP? That's nearly half of the world's economic activity, fueled by the exchange of goods and services across borders. Access to new markets isn't just an opportunity, it's a powerhouse for economic growth. Spread of knowledge and technology. Let's talk about the brain power behind the scenes. Globalization isn't just about trading physical goods, it's a grand exchange of knowledge and technology. Think about it. Innovation in one part of the world can swiftly benefit another. The sharing of ideas becomes a catalyst for technological advancements. Consider this. The internet, a cornerstone of global connectivity, has over 4.9 billion users worldwide. That's 64% of across the global population, surfing the wave of information exchange. It's not just a web, it's a global library where knowledge flows freely, empowering societies and individuals across the globe. Enhance global cooperation and tolerance. In the global playground, countries become players in a symphony of economic specialization. Each nation contributes its unique strengths, fostering cooperation and tolerance. Economic interdependence reduces the likelihood of conflict, and as nations collaborate, they learn to appreciate each other's cultural nuances. Think about it. When nations engage in trade, they are not just exchanging products, they are sharing traditions, values, and perspectives. This isn't just economic globalization, it's a cultural potluck where everyone brings something to the table, promoting economic growth. Efficiency is the name of the game in the global connected world. Globalization enables the efficient distribution of resources and encourages complementary reforms. Countries can focus on what they do best, creating a harmonious dance of economic growth. Studies have shown that globalization can contribute significantly to lifting people out of poverty, with developing countries experiencing notable improvement in living standards. It's not just about for the sake of growth, it's about ensuring that the benefits are shared and felt globally. The future of globalization unfolds at the intersection of economic imperatives, demographic shifts, and global challenges. The pulse of globalization beats with economic pragmatism. Post-pandemic trade figures showcase the resilience of global supply chains, contributing to 80% of the world's trade. Digitalization, the catalyst for efficiency, propels the interconnectedness of economies, making it 30% cheaper for firms to source supply chain globally. Comparative advantage, a cornerstone of economic theory, remains potent evident in the 40% share of the global GDP attributing to international trade. Demographic dynamics underscores the necessity for migration management. Consider this: 272 million migrants contribute 9% of the world's GDP. In a world where populations age unevenly, well-managed migration becomes a lifeline, boosting economies and bringing demographic disparities. The numbers tell a compelling story. Migration isn't just a societal shift, it's an economic imperative. Global challenges necessitate collective action and the rise of global public goods. Pandemics alone cost the global economy an estimated $28 trillion in the past 2 years. The proposal for health and finance ministers to collaborate reveals the urgency, emphasizing that a 10% increase in international cooperation could avert major global crises. On the geopolitical stage, the US-China rivalry is a force that reverberates globally, impacting the very foundations of international cooperation. The two economic giants responsible for 40% of the world's economic output engage in strategic competition, making it increasingly challenges for other nations to remain neutral. The stakes are high, as witnessed in the exclusion of China from the global COVID-19 summit. The friction adds complexity to collective efforts, as history cautions that exceptions for collaborations are rare and vulnerable to political risks. In envisioning the future, adapting our policies and institutions becomes paramount. The landscape ahead demands a nuanced approach to ensure the synergy between globalization and national interests. The future calls for a delicate dance, reconciling economic imperatives with national security concerns, balancing the scales between global cooperation, economic realities, and safeguarding national interests become imperative. Evidence-based decision-making mechanisms must weigh short-term gains against long-term economic impacts and security benefits against costs. Trade rules must evolve to encompass a broader spectrum of national objectives. Beyond the traditional focus on consumer benefits, new rules should enable countries to pursue objectives like labor and environmental standards, health priorities, and support for societal beneficial producers. This could mean targeted subsidies, border carbon adjustments, intellectual property protection waivers, or common disciplines for data privacy. As demographic shifts continue, managing migration requires collective international action. New agreements and government structures are essential to share the short-term cost of migration for receiving countries. Strategies for integrating migrants into productive employment must be a global priority, acknowledging that progress may be more feasible at regional levels that can serve as models for broader global policies. Addressing global challenges demands a one governance structure. The fragmented governance seen in institutions like the G20 and individual IFIs falls short. The future beacons towards new, workable structures that bring together all actors needed for effective responses for global public goods challenges. This includes proposals like a body uniting health and finance ministers for regular pandemic preparedness reviews. As the page of globalization story continues to turn, one thing remains certain. The world is irreversibly interconnected. Navigating the intricate tapestry demands a balance between economic wisdom, demographic realities, and the imperative for collective action. The future of globalization hinges on our ability to adapt policies, widen perspectives, and embrace a comprehensive vision of national interest. In this evolving narrative, the complexities are matched only by the potential for a brighter, more collaborative tomorrow. The question remains, will we seize it? Guys, write in the comments your point of view about globalization. Do you find globalization more positive or negative for your city, region, and country? Also, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video not to miss our next series. See you very soon.
형준이가 늘 그랬어요. 엄마, 저 사람이 예수님일 줄 몰라. 가장 보잘것없이 찾아오는 그 모습이 예수님의 모습일 테니까.
주님이 부르신 선교지 서아프리카 부르키나파소에서